2, 1.
Okay, this is the audiobook for Chapter 8. Chapter 8 starts on page 136, so please follow along as I read aloud. Honeybees depend not only on physical contact with the colony, but also require its social companionship and support. Isolate the honeybee from her sisters, and she will soon die. Chapter 8. August tore the page for July from the wall calendar that hung by her desk in the honey house. I wanted to tell her that technically it was still July for 5 more days, but I figured she knew already. It was a simple case of her wanting July over with so she could start into August, her special month. Just like June was June's month and May belonged to May. August had explained to me how when they were children and their special month came around, their mother excused them from house chores and let them eat all their favorite foods even if it wrecked their teeth, and stay up a full hour later at night doing whatever their heart desired. August said her heart had desired to read books, so the whole month she got to prop up on the sofa in the quiet of the living room reading after her sisters went to bed. To listen to August talk, it had been the highlight of her youth. After hearing this, I spent a good amount of time trying to think up which month I would have liked to have been named for. I picked October, as it is a golden month with better than average weather, and my initials would be OO for October Owens, which would make an interesting monogram. I pictured myself eating 3-tiered chocolate cake for breakfast throughout the entire month, staying up an hour after bedtime, writing high-caliber stories and poems. I looked over at August, who stood by her desk with the July calendar page in her hand. She wore her white dress with the lime green scarf tied around the belt, just like she was wearing the first day I showed up. The scarf had no purpose hanging there other than adding a touch of flair. She hummed her song, "Place the beehive on my grave and let the honey soak through." I was thinking what a good, fine mother she must have had. "Come on, Lily," she said. "We've got all these jars of honey to paste labels on, and it's just me and you." Zach was spending the day delivering honey to the sellers' places all over town and picking up money from the previous month's sales. Honey money, what was Zach called it. Even though the big honey flow was over, the bees were still out there sucking nectar, going about their business. You could not stop a bee from working if you tried. Zach said August's honey brought 50 cents a pound. I figured she must be dripping in honey money. I didn't see why she wasn't living in a hot pink mansion somewhere. Waiting on August to open a box containing the new shipment of Black Madonna labels, I studied a piece of honeycomb. People don't realize how smart bees are, even smarter than dolphins. Bees know enough geometry to make row after row of perfect hexagons, angles so accurate you think you'd used a ruler. They'd take plain flower juice and turn it into something everyone in the world loves to pour on biscuits. And I have personally witnessed how it took a whole 15 minutes for about 50,000 bees to find those empty suppers August had left out for them to clean up, passing along the discovery in some kind of advanced bee language. But the main thing is they are hardworking to the point of killing themselves. Sometimes you want to say to them, "Relax, take some time off, you deserve it." As August reached down inside the box for the labels, I studied the return address. Holy Virginia Monastery Gift Shop, Post Office Box 45, St. Paul, Minnesota. Next, she pulled a fat envelope from her desk drawer and poured out dozens of different smaller labels with printed letters, "Black Madonna Honey, Tiburon, South Carolina." I was supposed to wipe the backs of both labels with a wet sponge and hand them off to August to position in the jars, but I paused a minute to take in the Black Madonna's picture, which I studied so many times glued to my mother's little block of wood. I admired the fancy gold scarf draped over her head, how it was decorated with red stars. Her eyes were mysterious and kind, her skin dark brown with a glow darker than toast, and looking a little like it had been buttered. It always caused a tiny jump start in my chest, me thinking that my own mother had started at this same picture. I hated to imagine where I might have ended up if I hadn't seen the Black Madonna's picture the day in the Frogmore Stew General Store and Restaurant, probably sleeping on a creek bank all over South Carolina, drinking pond water with the cows, peeing behind china-berried bushes, and wishing for the joy of toilet paper. I hope you don't take this the wrong way, I said, but I never thought of the Virgin Mary being colored until I saw this picture. A dark-faced Mary is not as unusual as you think, August said. There are hundreds of them over in Europe, places like France and Spain. The one we put on our honey is old as the hills. She's the Black Madonna of Bren's Chair in Bohemia. How did you learn about all that? I asked. She rested her hands and smiled, like this had dredged up a sweet, long-lost memory. I guess I would have to say it started with my mother's prayer cards. She used to collect them the way good Catholics did back then. You know, the cards with pictures of saints on them. She'd trade them with like little boys traded baseball cards. August let out a big laugh at that. I bet she had a dozen Black Madonna cards. I used to love to play with her cards, especially the Black Madonnas. Then, when I went off to school, I read everything I could about them. That's how I found out about the Black Madonna of Brenzenchar in Bohemia. I tried to say Brenzenchar, but it didn't come out right. When I can't say her name, but I love her picture. I swiped the back of the label and watched August fix it onto the jar, then fasten the second label beneath it, as if she had done this 10,000 times. What else do you love, Lily? No one had ever asked me this before. What did I love? Right off the bat, I wanted to say I loved the picture of my mother, how she was leaning against the car with her hair looking just like mine, plus her gloves and her picture of the Black Mary with the unpronounceable name. But I had to swallow that back. I said, well, I love Rosaline, and I love writing stories and poems. Just give me something to write, and I will love it. After that, I really had to think. I said, this may be silly, but after school, I love Coca-Cola with salted peanuts poured in the bottle, and when I'm finished with it, I love turning up the bottle to see where it all came from. Once, I'd gotten a bottle of Massachusetts, which I kept as a tribute to how far something can go in life.